You just share this to my to live stream it to my channel, so we have both channels going.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we're on the air again. Me and Mgtow Jesus, and we're just sitting here having a few jokes and laughs about something that's going on right now, and we may share that in the future with you. But if it comes up, just understand we got something else going on in the background, and
We're
it's
just boys will be boys. We're just
boys
being
will be boys, and that's
yeah.
funny. So we had some interesting conversations today. Oops.
Mm. First off, to everyone that listens in or sees this, we do apologize for earlier. The earlier throwdown we did wasn't as organized as we'd like to be. So from now on, we're gonna be a little more organized and actually give you guys a chance. The last 30 minutes, I'd say maybe 45 of the throwdowns to quick Q&A. So that way you can ask questions about certain topics that maybe you didn't get a chance, that we kind of brushed over, or you need a little bit more information on, and that way we can answer them right here. And hopefully that'll help quell any other miscommunications or any other wrong conclusions you guys may acquire. So
Yeah. Well, I hate to get the answers after the broadcast, because I can't speak for all the men in the podcast. Sometime when we're doing Q&A in the comment section after it posts to YouTube, it's very uncomfortable that way. We'd rather do it online where we can kind of work through it, and everybody that's in on that thing, you have their say and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But yeah. So we're just kind of hanging it. We're doing some kind of crazy stuff on the background here, and 15 seconds 99 is in. HD's in already. We're picking up viewers right now,
it's good to see you guys.
It's good to see you guys. Hello, Dr. McCoy. You got the wrench again? Yeah.
So
yeah.
So okay, since we have a small crowd, I may as well give you guys a chance to be included in this. I'm working on the second draft of our Declaration of the Sovereign Man. Don't worry, I'm not proclaiming what Mgtow is. It's just, don't worry. When it comes out, I think you guys will like it. If you've already seen my first video, it was all artsy-fartsy. This one's a little more simple to understand, but the premise is still there. What I would like for you all to feel included in this is a list from you guys about what grievances we'd like to put in it, like things. What reasons are we Mgtow? And I want them to be things. When you think about it, I'd like them to be things that are things like, for example, like the tribunals at schools that superseded government and our civil rights as human beings to fair trials, and things like that were put into place just so women could get what they wanted away from us. That's treating us like second-class citizens. That's something that any patriot, anyone that's read the Constitution or the Declaration, can say, yeah, that's actually a reason why we left, England, for saying, that tyrannical kind of treatment. And that's the kind of stuff I want in there. Not like they like, for example, I have one here, trivializing the emotional pain of men and insisting that men cannot love their children. Like, obviously, not all of them are like that, and not everyone's going to sympathize with that. But if it's something that, every red-blooded American can look at and say, yeah, that's basically going against civil liberties, that's the stuff I want to see. So by all means, please put stuff in the chat.
Yeah, type some stuff in the chat, your idea of what's important topics to Mgtow and what clearly violates some kind of original logic of the founding fathers. Like I said before, slavery always violates it, and debtor's prison always violates it. But there's a lot of different subjects that we touch on daily, but we never get them kind of written down, and we never get them out there. We just looking for some structure. And if you got some ideas, what would provide a little bit of structure that everybody could agree with, those
Absolutely.
kind of things, type them in. We'll talk about them and work our way through it.
Absolutely.
You're gonna share that screenshot there? You're gonna screenshot that, or
what screenshot? What do you want me to screenshot?
Your second draft, or you're gonna save that?
Oh, I may as well. No, that's fine. It's all handwritten. It's gonna be hard for you guys to see. I can do that for you though. Here, let me see how to screenshot. Oh wait, I have to bring him up on my thing. I wasn't ready. You just threw me in there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to. I was having trouble moving my.
It's fine. I got it
over, so I was trying to do.
I got it.
And listen, a lot of approved Janet Flamingo Ottawa just discovered the Studio Brawl chain. I don't know what that. I have no idea what that's about. Yeah, we're expecting some more people, and we're sending out invites if anybody wants to come in. They can come in, and we're pretty open to that. Let me see. Who was in earlier? Male feelings 10, not male feelings. Male knowledge 101. He got a. If you remember back when he got his strike, and they took his ability to do chats and hangout chats on there, and I was thinking, oh man, that was so. We talked about this earlier about that. They took my ability too, so they didn't just take his ability to do that. They took my ability to have him as a guest, and
Yep.
that's kind of unfair. Google just kind of broadly encompasses all of YouTube, and then vaguely punishes everybody for maybe one video that has nothing to do with the podcast.
Exactly.
And
It's a little overkill, in my opinion.
yeah, it's a little overkill, and that's the that's the points a lot of people don't see about censorship. And when you start getting you censor a lot more than just somebody borrowing something from BBC, or somebody had a fit about something being borrowed. It takes away from the whole community, and really has nothing to do with it.
So HD Failure is saying, if you try to make something that is related to specific American problems and issues, then forget universal. Hold on.
Oh
Well,
yeah, he's
well, yeah, yes and no, HD. Here's what I'm thinking. When you and I sit back, let's say we just go ahead and watch a YouTube video about the Constitution, or about like why we seceded from the Empire of England, right? Great British Empire. And a lot of those reasons, if you really read it, were how like it was set up to where politically, economically, and a lot of in the legislature was basically violating everything that made us feel like we were at any benefit of being with them. Like we were part of their empire, but they were treating us like garbage. And after a while, we're like, okay, look, every time we try to do something, or take respect of our own land, you come in, treat us like garbage, send in like a standing army, right, and have them housed right inside our towns. And it's like, this is ridiculous. So if you actually read the Declaration, it talks about all that. That's the kind of stuff that I think anyone can relate to when you say, well, these are really good reasons to step away, and especially someone who has no idea what Mgtow is. They read it and go, oh, okay, I can see why now. So any honest person, anyone who's intellectually honest, will read it and say, wow, I can totally get why they did that. In fact, you know what? This happened to me, and this happened to me, and that actually happened to me too. And then they come over to Mgtow.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and I think that you can look at the overlays on that with most countries. And he says he's from Portugal,
yeah,
or he's speaking Portuguese, so maybe he's Brazilian too. I
right.
don't know if he's from Brazil or Portugal, but when you look at the history of those two countries too, they've had fallouts with England, and they developed their own constitutions, or else would be one big state right now. And what happened with men get fed up. That's what we're saying. Men are getting fed up with this gynocentric thing that's happening, and it's becoming very threatening to our existence. And it has a lot when you look at the overlays in the original American Constitution, or even your Constitution, and most countries base their Constitution on the English draft of the Magna Carta.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the overlays, and they all say the same thing, that it's the right of the common man to regress grievances. But when we look at how Mgtow and the MRA have been trying to get a seat in Congress right now, for at least a seat to talk. And I've done this once before, and I've actually done this in my life, where in this state, I went to a training session where it was, I won't tell you what it was about. It was about prostitution. And well, I will tell you, it is about prostitution. And we were picking people, because I used to be a very good speaker before my problems. And I took a course, and they were going to, and I got a chance to speak in front of but there's a certain way you have to do it. But we have the same quality of men in here. We have the same quality of people, but we have not been offered. And even if we did suggest that we come in front or write those we wouldn't be taken serious simply because of gynocentrism, white knighting, simping. They would say, no, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
So
we're just not going to give the floor to someone who's just going to bash women. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's not
It's
productive.
not going to do that. So if we're going to regress our grievances, unlike the MRA hasn't done, they had nothing to send where their grievances will be regressed by their ruling democracy. We have to have something solid. We have to have something to go at them with, or we have to have somebody up there that's competent. But on the other hand, they're not going to hear us because they're violating the first part of our First Amendment. It says that we have the ability freely at any point to regress our grievances. But when it comes to men now, we don't have the ability to freely regress our grievances. Do we?
Say it one more time. I was typing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do we have the ability to regress men's rights grievances right now?
We have the right to petition.
We have the right to petition,
as is in the Constitution. But if we are, there's so many different red tapes that you saw what happened with CAFE. The Canadian Association for Equality got protested and shut down by feminists. I mean, the name, their very name, they were labeled as hate speech because they wanted to talk about men's issues. That's it. They didn't want to bash women. They just want to talk about issues that men are facing and how they can improve and how they can improve the situation. And that was considered hate speech. So you just need to be in front of the right audience and you need the right climate. I mean, look, we've got Donald Trump right now running for president. It's the best climate to have a Donald Trump running for president because people are so hungry for someone to just say it straight, even though it may be ugly or retarded, but they just want that. Sometimes he goes off on the wrong way, I think, but right now we're just so hungry for something tangible that we're willing to listen to him. So the same thing needs to be done with us. We got to find the right climate and get in front of the right audience to get the ball rolling in that sense.
Right. Now, there is an issue with everybody says, well, you don't have the right to go say anything in front of your Congress or your Congress members, but there is an issue with what I call, and it's the very first judicial way of determining a way of regressing grievances, and it's called prior restraint. And what happened back in the 40s and 50s, we had mafia people going to the press. The press was going to legislators, and they were using the freedom of speech to and what had happened is legislators came back and made statements through the press that they weren't allowed to use the legislator, and it became an issue of prior restraint. They said, no, you cannot bring these things. And it's the same thing that's happened to us in a general sense. The system is using prior restraint. They're saying prior restraint is just like it sounds. They're saying, no, these aren't issues we care. It's like one of those.
You need some moderation, because if anybody could just walk in there and just start randomly talking about, we need to do something about spaghetti monsters. I mean, we'd never get
that's ridiculous in that sense. But we're not talking ridiculous stuff. We're talking about basic stuff in our Constitution that are being overlooked purposely by a corrupt government. That doesn't want these things regressed. With the prior restraint thing is, I think they're going to tell you.
Unfortunately, we'd have to go in as a wolf in sheep's clothing, I'd say.
Yes.
We'd have to go in as MRA only because they already have that position where they can go in and address Congress, or they can send a representative. And at this point, they've been around for so long that it's like, oh, okay, the MRA's here. Let's go ahead and kill some time. I'm going to go play some online poker on my phone. And then we start talking Mgtow. They go, whoa, wait, what?
Whoa, what is this?
All of a sudden, that's what we got to do. Or at least that's what I'm trying to think. I don't know enough about political. I don't know enough about political law or politics in the sense that how that operates. The political system, like what you can and can't do. How do you get inside and talk to Congress?
There's a process.
Legislatures,
there's a process that goes on. It's a filing fee, a small filing fee of $65 at that time, and everything. And then it goes to the secretary. It goes to levels, and if it reaches that level, you get heard.
But here's the thing: even if, let's say, we sat down, we brought that to them, well, they would look at us and say, "Well, that was very nice. That was very poetic. Thank you for your time. What do you want us to do?"
They'll throw it away. That's my point. Prior restraint is when they throw it away for no reason at all. It's because they have some some core value that's metaphysical that they believe overrides the
Yeah.
Constitution, and that's what we get now. We get that core value that they think overrides the Constitution, and it doesn't. You know.
That's what I'm saying. You're able to protest and you're able to do a petition and all that. And if you get enough names and enough people behind you, they'll listen. They can't ignore it, because then it's no longer pre-restraint. They say, okay, this has to be addressed. We have to
Yeah.
look at this. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, they have
That's
to
all you
look
got to
at it.
do. That's all you got to
Yeah.
do.
So that's what kind of where you're going with this thing, where we can
basically, yeah. So if this does get picked up, and believe me, guys, when I'm done with this, you're going to freaking love it. It's going to be, I think this is going to be a piece of history for masculinity. Who knows? It may be the last throes of our dying side of the species. Who knows? Or it might be what brings us back. I don't know. But I think once this gets going, it'll probably be on the news. It'll probably get its way to the news. It'll probably, because once somebody reads it and goes, dude, this is really great. Like, and then it'll get pulled up. And then I bet you, who knows, some presidential candidate might be like, we need to pull in the men's vote right now. We're pining for women's vote. And right now, this declaration of the sovereign man is just making, every man out there, Mgtow or not, just feel like $1 million. Let's ride this gravy train. Who knows? Yeah. So this could be the defining year for Mgtow, guys. Yeah. So I really want your input.
Yeah, so join in on this as soon as you see what we're doing, and give your ideas. Port 22T Cap says, I'm having trouble joining in. Send me a direct link. I don't know who Port Cap 22 is.
Nope. I don't know him either.
Yeah.
We could, if it's up to you, if you want to bring him in or not. Port, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, if he goes off, then I'm just going to ban him.
Yeah.
I could send him a link. He can come in, but he's got to, understand the rules. Do you have a microphone and headset also too? If you've been in on these things before, I can send a general. But here we go with that.
Yeah.
If you don't come up on my G Plus, then I have to send you a link, and I don't know who you are. If you're going to share the link, or and it becomes problematic. I've had it in the past that I shared the link with someone, and then they went off and shared it with everybody in the community. And then we had like 40 people yelling at us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah. So Port, out of respect, sir, I mean, we're just going to have to pass on that right now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I can send him a private, if he comes up in my G Plus, let me see if you come up. If you're,
okay, for example, Traversable, while you're doing your thing, the debtor's prison you're talking about, where people are actually put in prison for not paying their child support, right? Or for not being able to pay whatever alimony or debt that's been assigned to them, right? Mm-hmm. And they're criminalized and thrown in jail. That right there, as you said, it violates the Constitution. That's legislature that's put into place that specifically targets men, because they don't do it against women. They don't apply it to them. See,
that's another
when laws are made that are not applied to a certain gender just because, I'm sorry, that's the kind of things that need to be pointed out in here. And anybody can say, wow, there's a law. It's right here written in the Declaration. There's a law that was instigated and perpetrated by them to screw these men over and violate the Constitution on the basis that society says, well, you're a man, so deal with it, and that right there makes people go, oh my God, we as a society are treating men like garbage. If that's, just enough to get them to maybe change the way they act, or maybe listen a little closely when they hear about some law like Violence Against Women's Act, and then somebody might chime up who's not even, a super social justice warrior or some shit, and says, Violence Against Women's Act, why would you name it that? Well, it's because if the largest person of the two gets arrested. Well, damn, most men are the larger of the two. So this is basically, what if he called the cops? Well, it's just better because she should be safe in the home, and because she's weaker and she's smaller and all this. And before you know that, people start to ask these questions, they pick it apart and go, "This is bullshit."
This is bullshit. Isn't that the basis of bigotry? That just because you are what you were born with, there's some barrier to the law that you cannot overcome. That's the basic definition. Any lawyer will tell you in the law, if there's a barrier that you can't overcome, that's bias and bigotry.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do this, but they don't see their own hypocrisy when they do it. And Yeah, well, that's with debtor's prison, and that's with and everybody. When I say slavery, I say when you go to work, if you have to give your money to somebody else, being threatened with a jail sentence that doesn't work for it, that's slavery.
Yeah.
and and if women would take total personal responsibility and accountability for anything, every time they open up those legs, it's 100% on them.
Yeah.
What happens?
And and that should be something. Oh, I'm sorry. Finish your thought. I apologize.
That's something that they need to. That's another what I hate to call it. It's a pussy pass.
Yep.
It's a pass. They get to pass. Another law has been made to restrict us and puts a barrier on our freedom.
And what's even worse is, even if we want to take responsibility, the woman still gets the decision, still has the ultimate say in whether or not the offspring lives or dies. Now
Right.
I mean, that's okay. We're not going to go into the abortion topic because that's where we start to lose people. Things can go one way or the other. But let's say he doesn't want anything to do with the child. He doesn't even want to get her pregnant. He says, I don't want to have. If we have sex today, I do not want to get you pregnant.
I do not want a child. Yeah.
I do not want a child. Do you understand that going into this? And if she says, yes, I do, and they have sex and she gets pregnant and says, well, I'm going to keep it anyway, then at that point, the man should have the right to opt out, I think.
Yeah,
because he's like,
right
I will not have sex with you unless you agree that you do not want to be pregnant and you will get an abortion if you are pregnant or whatever. Take a Plan B pill, whatever you got to do before we do this. And if they decide to change their mind, well, guess what? Guess what? Now, I'm getting your ass. Because
as I see it, she should have to carry the baby. Once you get pregnant, that's just a sad fact about having sex. Now, in the other sense, if the male wants the baby and she doesn't want the baby, she should be forced to carry the baby to 16 weeks, where they could put it in an incubator where it'll have no basic harm on her body, but it's already in there, and the abortion has to take the abortion has to take place.
Oh, it's Mark 101. Well, he says he's Mark 101.
Is that MK? Oh, that's MK 101. Okay, I can send it to port 22. He started a new account. Okay.
Oh,
I see. Okay, I'll send you a link.
Okay, well, tell me something only MK would know about me.
Yeah, I'll copy and send you the link. It was just difficult finding out who you were there for a second. I can't send you. They understand that I can't send.
I think James wants to join as well.
Yeah, James, we can send out. If it's okay with the panel right now, we can bring James in and.
I like how Gray Soul said it's the same with man spreading with these laws. Exactly, Gray.
Right.
Exactly. It's completely arbitrary, and a lot of times it's because every time a man escapes their grasp, every time a man gets out of gets a get out of jail free card, which it really wasn't free, it could probably cost him his entire fortune. But every time a man is able to get away from their clutches, they create some new law to patch up that little crack in the system. You know what I mean? So that's where these laws keep coming from, is to keep patching up these little cracks to hold men accountable for everything, even if it's nothing to do with them. Holding a donor accountable, someone who donated at a sperm bank, and then deciding to try to hold them accountable for child support. Have you lost your fucking mind? Here's my thing. How did anybody give them an ear to listen to? Like, wait, go ahead. Well, yeah, I went down and got pregnant, artificially inseminated by some random sperm from a sperm bank, but I'm falling on hard times. Who's the father so he could be held accountable? And no one said, ma'am, you need to leave the building. I'm gonna call 911 and have them take you down to a shelter. You need help, like mental help.
Right. Yeah.
Or for once in their fucking lives, actually hold up paperwork that defends a man and says, ma'am, it says right here that he chose to be anonymous and he's protected by the state laws. So I'm afraid we can't help you. And tell her, have a nice day. But they can't. They're like, oh, a woman is regretting her decision. Let's see, what man can we hold responsible? Oh, here you go. How about this guy? It's just so arbitrary. Those are the kind of things. Anyways, go ahead.
Port 22, I just sent it. It went through. It should be in your email address. The link in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Badass Dan says also common law needs to be abolished as men are the ones who suffer from it more. Can you give me a little bit of insight on common law? You talking about common law marriage?
Yeah, common law marriage?
I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. Is it the one where like if you're together? No, where if you're like share the same domicile for 7 years, then you're common law married or something.
Right. In Canada now, it's 2 years if you live together with. And I don't think common law is state. I think common law is state by state in the United States. Ohio used to have it, but they took that away. I think who does have common law marriage in the United States? God, I don't think. Yeah, I think it was. I think we settled this in our legislator that no, you can't. We used to have common law marriage, but it just doesn't work. You can't force someone into a marriage. You can't say you're married. You know, it's taking the rights from somebody.
Exactly. I, um, Also, like divorce laws are so different in different states. I mean, it really depends if you're in the Bible Belt or
Right.
not. Like in Washington, when I separated from my ex-wife, I had to wait. I think it was literally like 30 days, as long as we didn't share a bed or share the same, house or whatever, for 30 days, then our separation could be completed into a divorce, which is so weird for only 30 days. That's really weird because down here in North Carolina, you have to go a whole
Right.
year.
Yeah, and I think
So it's weird.
the idea of common law marriage would be joint property too. If you have joint property, then you're involved in a contract that looks like marriage.
Yeah.
And if you so that would be joint property. It settles out, and uh, but I've seen this. You know what? I was evicting someone from a residence that I owned just in January last year, and a couple of my friends were sitting there, and the guy before me, his they have been living together for 15 years. You know where they were taking care of that at? She was evicting him after living together for 15 years and him paying his half of the mortgage and everything, but he never signed. And this was stupid of him. He never got in on that mortgage. He was just paying it. She was evicted him after the house was paid for,
Oh
and
wow.
it was being taken care of in the local court in an eviction court.
Oh wow.
So,
You see, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's all about what's on paper. But even if it's on paper and you're looking like gold, the judge, depends on who he is or he or she, can just ball it up and throw it in the trash. So
yeah.
it's never, you are never safe. But are you talking about the man that was homeless sitting outside his house for 6 months? Did you hear about that guy?
Oh, the one that froze to death, or
No, no. Okay, so him and his wife were fighting. His name is on the house,
yeah.
but she won't let him in and filed like a restraining order against him to where he couldn't come in the house. And he decided to live on the lawn.
Oh,
And the thing is, she makes like a crap ton of money, and he's now like dependent on her. And he was living on the front yard for like 6 months, and she even put a sign out at the edge of the yard said, "Do not feed him, do not help him, blah blah blah. He needs to leave," kind of thing. And people were looking at this, and I think people would call the cops pretty frequently. And what's what blows me away is that
it's his
no,
property.
it's his fucking property, and no police officer's gone up to her and says, "Ma'am, no, he's allowed to be here. You need to let him
Yeah,
in the
you need to
house."
leave. Yeah, you're the one that needs to
Yeah,
leave the
you're the
property
abuse.
because
I
it's
mean, she's
your.
abusive at this point. She's straight because she refuses to divorce him. Because if she does divorce him, then he gets like half her shit. He'll be able to basically do what every woman does to married men. So
Yeah,
she doesn't want that to happen. So
right.
she's
So
not going to divorce him.
she's using the thugs as thug enforcers, then, and that's what we kind of call them. They're just thug enforcers and tax collectors now. Uh, yeah, we see a whole lot of this stuff going on where men's rights are just not
Yeah.
looked on as viable in the courts, and he's sitting outside of your own house. That's just basic contractual law. That's his house.
Yeah. Let
That's
him
his
in.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
let him in his house, and
Let him in his
if
house.
if you can't get along, we'll come out again, and they'll do that as many times as necessary until she leaves or he leaves the residence. But obviously, he wasn't leaving the residence.
Nope. That's the thing is he refused to leave. As long as he didn't leave the residence, then I don't remember the whole thing about it. But he basically, as long as he stayed on that yard and didn't leave, then he could, he would still have a battle. He could still fight. Um,
Oh yeah,
it's this whole thing. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, is this not an abusive marriage? Hello, like, how is no
Oh
one
yeah.
coming over saying, "Ma'am, you're abusive. You're being an abuser, and we're here to basically take you to jail for abusing this man and keeping him out in the streets for 6 months illegally." Blah blah blah. Nothing. Like nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
I think someone tried to raise some money for him or something. But the thing is, he can't walk away from the yard. If he leaves the house for more than 3 days or something, then it'll be yeah, it all changes. So he can't like go live in a hotel that's paid for by anyone. He has to stay there.
He has to stay there. Yeah, it
Yeah,
becomes apparent within the system that there are these barriers and biases within the system that we need to fix. Uh, we just had an example with who is that? Papa Bear, Bill O'Reilly. I did a video just yesterday on Bill O'Reilly, and
yeah,
what Bill O'Reilly noticed when he was going through his divorce that the state psychologist was lying. And then I thought, well, Bill, everybody knows that the state psychologist is going to lie for the courts
yep.
because they're working for the courts. And there's a what do you call that, of interest? There's a clash of interest there.
A conflict of interest. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a conflict of interest that nobody wants to talk about. Now, I did a video before about this, and I said this guy I know, but it was really my son, and it had to do with me. When he went down to the courts, uh, the state psychologist was what he was doing. My son got down there, and he before he came in, he bought my son a hot dog and some chips at the cart out front because it's in a large city area, so the hot dog
right.
stands are out there. And he gives them, and he got a pile of quarters in front of him. And my son was still very young,
Of course.
and he's going through a divorce. His parents are going through a divorce, and the guy's got a pile of quarters, and he starts asking him questions. When he doesn't answer a question the way he wanted him to answer the question, he held the quarters back. When he gave him the answer, he gave him 4 quarters that he wanted to hear. Guess what? You could start weaving those things then. Uh, this is the way they do it. He was paying him for correct. Yeah, my son says, "I'll bring him in here if you want to hear the story, straight from the horse's mouth about what the psychiatrist was doing to him." But that state psychiatrist was bribing him, a child, a
was
12-year-old
coaching
boy.
him. Yeah,
He was coaching him into saying what he wanted with a pile of quarters.
yeah. And he probably made a
And
shit ton of money. That's absolutely heartless. And to do to
yeah,
your
that's
fellow
heartless.
man, just to do, was it a man that did it to him? Like a
It was
male
another
psychiatrist?
man that did. Yeah, it was another man that did it to him. And my son, he came up to me the other day and he says, "I feel so bad about that, Dad, because I didn't see what was happening."
20 pieces of silver, literally.
20 pieces of silver.
Five
Yeah.
bucks.
And this is the corruption that goes on in these systems. Yeah, $5, for
Oh,
$5.
oh man, that's that. I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past the state employees that need to maintain their quotas, or they need to maintain whatever, and because they've got pressures on them too. And I
Yeah,
would not be surprised. It got some guys like, hey, she's going to win anyway. I may as well get the most out of it. Make this an open, done, shut, and close case. Make my quick paycheck and get the hell out of here. I got my own kids to go see.
yeah, right. Yeah, I'm
you
going
know, and
golfing at
I need to
6.
double check my contract before I go home. Make sure my wife doesn't take everything I own, because I know
Yeah,
what'll happen. You know.
yeah. These are men doing it to other men too. We have names for these men. We call them, and there's real reasons we use these names because it well describes their character. They're simps, white knights, vanginas, pussy beggars, that whole thing. We say these for reasons, and those reasons, those names have ideas behind them.
Yeah.
Ideas of the character and quality of the man you are talking to. Now, I don't know which camp that guy fell into, but I'm sure he fell into one of those camps. Uh, It's just a greed, the absolute corruption of it. And this is not the first time I've heard stories about this.
I'd put him as a mangina.
A
on the
mangina.
on the fact that he probably coached your son to get to hear what he's already affirmed is the truth. He wants to really know what's going on, and he's going to help your son tell the truth in his own mind. It's not the truth, but it was confirmation bias. He probably already came into it thinking, this poor woman's been through such a terrible thing, and this guy's such a terrible guy, and look what he's doing to his children and to his family. You know what? I'm going to get the truth out of this little boy. Here's a hot dog. Here's this. Here's that. And here's a couple quarters. You're gonna go play X-Men at the arcade after this. Here's some quarters. So tell me what else happened. Well, here's some more quarters. He was doing it. He probably is a pussy beggar. Maybe he just worships.
Yeah, he's a pussy beggar. Well, I don't know how that worked out. I don't know if my wife was flinging some off at that point. But My divorce, I'll tell you guys exactly how my divorce ended. When I seen how corrupt it was and everything, I walked
Yeah.
in there without a lawyer. I said, I'm not paying your system anymore. And I went Mgtow at that point. I says, I applied for 8 lawyers. 8 lawyers turned me down. Only 6 of them were allowed to turn me down. These proceedings are invalid.
Yeah.
And then I continued to. I said, I will shut up, and and I was told to shut up at that point. And I said, these proceedings are invalid, and all you have is an enemy at this point. And the judge said to me, you know what he said to me? He said, to be. You can choose to work within our society, or you can be an outcast in our society. And I said, I'll be an outcast in your society. And he was talking about going Galt. He said, you can go Galt if you want. And I
Hmm.
said, I will choose that. These proceedings are invalid. You've broken all the rules here. And because I knew what would happen. She was going to get the minimal amount of in that when it's uncontested like that. He just goes by the book at that point,
Absolutely.
and whatever the
He's got his
proceedings
own
say,
ass to cover. If he doesn't
yeah,
kiss her ass well enough and do everything by the book for her, she's going to turn on him.
yeah.
You know?
So he closed it out. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen anyways. I assumed that was going to happen, and I
Yeah.
just resisted the whole thing. And I've been resisting this whole thing for 12 years now here. I've been working dedicated every day resisting this whole thing and saying, no, you are invalid. This is invalid law. This is nothing more than a kangaroo courts
Yeah.
that you have, and put me in jail. That will only submit my that will submit my stand. I will be like Dred Scott then.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep an
Court
eye on the chat.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
court
is. He
22.
is men's knowledge.
Okay, I
Um,
sent him it in his I sent it to him in his Gmail. So
yeah.
he's got to go to his and that'll probably come under I don't know if it's social, or it won't come under social. It'll come under emails.
Yeah. It'll just come up your normal emails, and then you just scroll down below, like where the spam is and everything. Just scroll down, and you'll see it. Now I'm on Windows 10, which is, by the way, do not get Windows 10. Whatever you do,
Yeah, I'm
it
not
does,
going to do
you
that.
lose
Yeah.
Windows Movie Maker. You give up information, and occasionally I come home and they've reformatted my computer for me while I was at work, and I lose all my pictures and my stuff. So,
Oh, you know what happened to me last night?
what?
I'm sitting here. I turned my computer off, ended for the day, went to go to sleep. I'm sitting there laying here about an hour later, and my computer turns on
Oh shit!
and Microsoft starts doing something in it. It turned on by itself.
Yeah, you still have power going through it. They can still do that. Like, with their operating system. They can still talk to your hard drive and basically power it on.
I
Unless they
was
know
like,
your IP address, they can talk
yeah,
right through your Ethernet cable.
yeah. I don't know what they were trying to do, or if they were just, it was probably a
It
scheduled
probably
upload
was.
or something. But I was like, wow, I didn't know that could do that.
Yeah, it's like a ghost in the house. Maybe as a MGTOW, you're developing telekinesis. Who
Yeah,
knows? MGTOW telekinesis.
yeah. Big
Best
telekinesis.
handies ever.
I wish I could just turn my computer on, make the coffee off from my seat in front of the TV.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah, that'd
Oh,
be a beautiful thing.
you
Yeah.
had a chance to go back to 7 or 8.
Oh God, I wish I could go back to XP. XP was so great, and everything was functional, perfect, the way you wanted to see it. It was working perfectly. I don't know why they didn't just keep XP and just worked out all those bugs. So
Have you actually watched When Atlas Shrugged?
yeah, I watched Atlas Shrugs. I I don't get the
Because
movie.
that's where the term John Galt came from.
Yeah,
Who
John
is John
Galt.
Galt?
Yeah.
Who is John Galt? It's a, have you actually watched it and you didn't get it? What was it that you were missing on it? Like,
Um,
what was it
I've
you weren't
seen a
getting?
lot of political ramblings of left rightists.
Uh-huh.
Most of the movie was political ramblings of rightists, and I didn't kind of get that. And John Galt was saying he's going to walk away. His character in general, I get his character, but when they flew in and there was this big like shield over this area of land that nobody else could see, it was kind of unplausible, you know.
Well, that's the whole premise, was they were taking the cream of the crop, the best and the brightest that were basically being, held back by society and held back by its ridiculous like laws and entitlements. It was
Yeah.
saying, let's all go somewhere. But what's funny is these movies come out and then something very similar around that happens. And we've talked about how all the rich, all like the top percent are basically bailing and setting up their own little private paradises in New Zealand. Do you hear about
Yeah.
that? They're setting all
Yeah.
that up so that way they could just hop on a plane and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
um, but and then the John Galt movies come out, kind of like coming in saying, okay, you, all you top notch people, we're gonna take you out of this, you know.
Right. Now, John Galt was doing it right because he was getting rich doesn't mean you have a skill.
Yeah,
It just means you're rich. All
exactly.
these rich people running away, they're going to find out that they need skilled workers there. And then it just becomes the same society of them forcing skilled workers to do what they can't do to begin with.
Yep.
So, if the skilled workers would leave, and that's sort of what we do when you opt out, when you go Mgtow, when you go Galt and Mgtow, what you're saying is you're taking your skills with you.
Yep.
And that's what I did. My skills as an electrical engineer are no longer used in their society. I take my skills and I do something else right now because I understand other things too that I can do.
Yep. My skills, I guess, would be in communications and sales, so I still have something to do.
Yeah, you can use those, but yeah, take something with it. I always say when I go Mgtow, I take these two big, strong arms with me too.
Absolutely.
And I'm no longer picking up boxes. I'm no longer doing all that work. I'm no longer doing that garbage. For a guy, I will walk by them. I will step over them on the street. If they're on fire, I may stop to piss on them to put it out, but I would consider not doing that either.
I wouldn't get too close. They'll just have to roll in my puddle I make for them.
Yeah, roll in the puddle real fast. That's what they tell you. Roll, roll, roll. What is that? Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah. I won't piss on you to put a fire out, but I'll be damned if I don't make a nice little puddle for you.
Yeah, stop, drop, and roll.
I got things to do. I'll tell you later. But yeah, the what are we talking about? But yeah, the whole John Galt thing, like opting out, I think it's funny that it's very similar to Mgtow in the sense that we're looking at this saying, okay, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we do bring something to the table, they just want to take it from us. Right. Enough. You know what? And like how in the first movie, how they just basically burned the oil fields and it was like, we're done here, and just leave them to their own devices, kind of thing. And that's what Mgtow's doing, is we're stepping out. I almost want to build a Mgtow community, like find a certain place that's had like an economic collapse, some state, maybe Colorado or whatever's going on, and buy up like an entire suburb, and get them in, do like the auctions for those foreclosed homes or whatever, and buy them up and actually have people come live there that are Mgtow, and who knows, man, just having cookouts and big old parties and shit like that, and that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's James Xavier, the guy. He wants to. He's really kind of big into that too. I'll send him an invite. I forgot to do that, James. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I let him know. I let you know in the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just sent him his invite. He's obviously the other guy's not in yet, so he's got to download his app still if he's working on a different. So he's got to go to
Volcast says Detroit. I'm not going to Detroit, Volcast.
Oh, you can get buildings in Detroit for like $50 now.
Yeah, the cost of having to upkeep those things at this point. Oh, good. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Great.
You all right there, bud? You got a lot of static, or?
Yeah. Do you have your earphones in and?
Yeah, I have them in. Let me see something.
Okay.
Yeah, just make sure you mute the Google feed.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Can you hear me better?
Are you in a car?
Wait a minute. Let me disconnect from the Wi-Fi because I think.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and mute yourself and handle that.
I think we did that in his first. That we figured if he uses his phone as a phone, it works better.
I just wonder if I like how Graceful says, he says, let's build Mgtow City. I think it would be really neat. I'm going to have to mute him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Oh.
Anyways, I was going to say, I think who was it? Heartburn said it best. He says, you know what, you want to see a good representation of Mgtow? Have them come to my house, come see my things, come see how I live, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's actually a really good thing. Live by example. It'd be pretty badass to have Mgtow Avenue, and it's literally like, it's an entire suburb of like some 300 houses, and it's all Mgtow men, and we just like party out and we have our own way of doing things. You know what I mean? I mean, guys are working on experiments. They're making like cool inventions. You got guys floating around in hovercrafts, like doing our own little hovercraft bumper car competition, and shit, you know, because we all get together and build it. And,
yeah.
I mean, and we share our skills and stuff. It'd be hilarious. They come down and see this. They're like, this Mgtow community, look at them. They're playing bumper cars with hovercrafts. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, you know the
You
idea
mean
that
Mgtow?
Yeah, Mgtown.
Yeah.
Mgtown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is that with the John Galt thing, the only problem I have with that is that we're not going to be able to incorporate a city. What we can do is like the lesbians did this with Maine, didn't they? They just all moved to Maine, and then they pushed their laws through in that state.
Yeah.
We can. What's the best state for Mgtows to live in? That's obviously probably Wyoming, Nevada, still open land, open areas. If Mgtows would kind of agree, hey, I'm moving. Where should I move where the laws are best for Mgtow? And then start congregating there. And
I would say Texas.
Texas.
Would it?
Texas is pretty harsh on divorce laws. But that just keeps us from getting divorced.
Yeah,
but we're not getting divorced anyhow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what would be good. I mean, if anyone's got a suggestion as far as a state to move to.
Yeah, North Dakota is very.
I don't know if we're all screwed or not.
Where?
I say I don't know any state where we're not screwed at.
Oh yeah, basically. But that's why I was thinking about that Oregon thing. What's going on in Oregon was, you know, go there, and just basically back them up because I believe in what they're doing. That's me, but you know, it's up to people. But I'm saying like it would be cool to meet like 10 or 12 Mgtow guys that show up there, and we all just, you know, we're there and we can sit around the campfires, you drink our coffee, and, you know, hash some things out. I think that would be a really, really powerful opportunity for Mgtow. And then they can come and see this. Like, look at these Mgtow guys living here or whatever. And that way the news could see it and do what they want with it.
No, happen if we're living good. Guess who's going to come crawling at the door? Take a wild guess.
The living what?
No, once we're living good, guess who's going to be crawling at the door?
Right, yeah.
Right at our doors.
Yeah. The Nawalts will be there.
Take a wild guess. Yes, exactly.
The Nawalt.
And I remember I explained this on the last podcast with Joe. I said even if everything does go back to normal, they want to come back to us. I'm like, we have much more important things to do right now. We have Seth over here building a hovercraft. You have me over here building holograms. We have so much more important things to do than waste our time on. Really? And so that's what I'm saying. That seems like a very good idea, you know.
Yeah, what men do very well.
That's now.
Yeah, what men do very well in their structure is you get 60, 70, 80, 90, up to 300 men, and they all have garages. And this comes from the Japanese idea or the Chinese idea of infrastructure in the area. Let's take a bicycle, for instance, making a bicycle. One guy makes a tire, one guy puts the spokes on, one guy puts the bearings in, one guy paints the bike, one guy welds the bike up. That goes from house to house to house to house. And it goes in China, it goes from garage to garage to garage to garage. And at the end of the process, you have a product. That's what Mgtow men would do. What else can you build? Refrigerators? You can build anything. Yeah. It would go from one guy who has a
assembly line, and everyone gets a piece of it as we sell. You know, we sell them off, and everyone gets a piece.
As a community, yeah.
As a community, and I think it'd be hilarious. It'd be awesome. We would be the envy of it, and I bet you we would have tons of probably homeless men as well looking for a place to start over.
Oh yeah, you could.
It'd be too much. It'd be too much at once. We wouldn't be able to support all of that. We'd have to get government assistance.
Oh man, no idea. You have to add some sort of
we're not going to get
research in there or something like that.
I mean, look, I don't know about you, but I don't have a I can't just get donations for showing up. So there has to be more to it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not that I'm missing something. I'm missing a little hole between my legs where there's nothing there. There's something here, and that permits me to get free money and shit.
Actually, you're kind of right, which is sad. You are right.
Grace Hall says we need a great wall of China to keep him out. I think it would be pretty cool. Who here has watched what's that damn show, man? I used to watch it all the time too. The Walking Dead. They make it to a town in Connecticut or whatever near DC. That's like it's got like 14-foot high or 20-foot high walls all the way around it, and it's completely eco-friendly, like eco-green, self-sufficient. That's what we need. Get something like that.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need a lot of room to, men don't need a lot of room. We can always go up, and to just get this together. Men are so innovative; it's freaking crazy sometimes. And the only thing that really holds us down is we're dragging a weight behind us, and guess what that weight is? At this point.
It's just like a thought I told you about this morning. I woke up at about 7 o'clock Eastern. I just woke up and I was having this thought to myself. I said, men have the potential of traversing the stars across this galaxy, but we have our heads so far up a bloody ass crack. We can't, you know what I mean? Like, if only we could just get our noses out of the vagina for long enough, we could, walk across another planet. Nothing would make me be more happy if they said, Mgtow Jesus, we're going to send you to Mars. I'd be like, yes, I will go. I will go so hard, and I will turn around and look at that little blue dot out in the blackness of space and say, fuck you.
We are the strongest thing on this planet's ever seen. But we're being held down right now. We're being restricted. We're not allowed to be creative. We're not allowed.
Our eyes are pointing down right now. We're pointing down at the dirt, trying to make something happen when we should be looking up at the stars and doing something else. I really think that I'm just thinking, like, let's take out the 1,000-year dark age and let's take out this construct that we're in. If we remove those two distractions right now, and let's just fill that vacuum with pure productivity, we'd probably be on the cusp of, I'd say, like wormhole type of travel. We'd be on the cusp of serious space travel.
I agree 100%, dude.
Yeah.
We'd either have done it or be just on the edge of doing it. Like, if you gave us an extra 1,000 years and just fast forwarded us, and took away all this distraction, oh man. Right now, you and I would probably be standing on a beach shore overlooking a whole new solar system. Just bums me out.
Yeah, make it easy. Hey, our little conversation before it's kind of ended there. Our little joke that we were doing. No reply. We're kind of throwing that up whether we're going to show you guys or not. But it was kind of funny what was happening before, and it's a typical example of pandering and male.
So I'll keep it unanimous. But so basically, what's happened is a woman reached out and wanted to basically talk to Traversable and ask him some questions without obviously any consequence for her idiocy. But lo and behold, we're just a bunch of pranksters. So she reached out to him and started asking him a lot of I'd say loaded questions and making a lot of open-ended statements. And was very vague.
Please tell me. I need to know one of them. Please. I beg of you.
Well, that's up to Traversable. All I can say is this one, it had something to do with what happened during Porngate. And then I don't even know. You'll have to let I'll have to let Traversable tell you if he feels he wants to.
Traversable, please. Give me one, because they sound so hilarious.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold it. It might be a video next week or something. Video. It was just kind of funny the way it worked out, and it just has this whole air of
presumptional accusation,
feminine pandering, and it's getting a girl to do your work for you, and it was like, oh god, this is so anti-Mgtow what I'm doing right here.
We were pandering a little bit, like, oh, we understand.
Yeah, I get you. Totally,
it sucks to be you. Darn it.
I get where you're coming from, hun.
I'd cry out of my ass every month if I felt like you too. No,
that's the thing I don't understand. They have so much privileges. Like, seriously. Do you know the power it is to just say something and put somebody in jail? You know how much power that is?
Oh,
that's a lot of fucking power.
I'd be drunk on that. Let's be honest. Drunk with power. That by my word alone, I could ruin a man's life that I've never even met. I could just say I met him. Pick a
Yeah,
guy
we
off the
see now.
street.
I could be like, oh, you're like just picture. I could say, oh, you play PlayStation? Okay, I'm gonna put a false allegation out on you.
Yeah. Yeah, just some random thing. Like, excuse me, do you know who I am? You know, can you imagine that? Like trying to buy a piece of gum, and the guy behind the counter says, "Man, it's no longer in." I was like, "This was on sale." He's like, "The sale ended yesterday." I'm like, "Did you just rape me?"
Yeah, the sale ended for you. It'll be back up as soon as you leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if you quote that, you'll be anonymous, while his face would be out there, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, the damage is done well before anyone realizes that I was just full of shit. But is there any consequence? Is there any consequence for a woman that out of nowhere accuses a man? It's proven that she, from the get-go, was completely full of shit. It doesn't matter. The damage was done just by the conversation about him alone destroys his credibility.
They never show her face, right? That I know of, right?
Of course not. It's so that way the victim doesn't have to relive the. It doesn't have to go through the trauma of being exposed for being a victim. It's like, wait a second. You know, do you even know the kind of trauma a man has, especially if he's falsely accused? That's traumatic.
They know. No, they know exactly what they're doing. They just don't care. They just don't fucking care. They know exactly what they're doing.
My first video I put out was the explain the irrational mind. I said it's not that women are crazy or that they can't think properly or whatever. They totally have a grasp on reality. They just don't give a fuck.
They just don't give a fuck. Yeah, that goes. Yeah, they know what they're doing, and they know how to operate it, and they snicker at that. That's what I was saying about the MRA earlier. They snicker at the MRA because they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and the MRA can't process their mind and think that they're actually capable of such what we would consider evil. You know what I mean? What I would consider evil. That's just absolutely evil.
There's no consider. It just is. There's no way in
That's the thing is the MRA wants to sit there and say there's no way they are intentionally being like this. It's like, no, they are, dude. They are, and I'm sorry to. I wish it wasn't so.
I could sit down and snicker while sending you to jail. I can't fucking do that. I'm sorry.
Hey James.
So when they.
Sorry, buddy. Do you have your YouTube up right now to watch the chat? Because I think you need to mute that. I'm hearing your conversation like 30 seconds behind. You might want to fix that. Oh, wait, shit. I got the chat right here.
Okay. Bring
up your side chat in the Google, in the actual conversation. That way I can tell you this kind of stuff without interfering with the show. Sorry.
Is it better now?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm hearing my conversation through your headset now. Like 30 seconds behind, or a minute behind.
Oh yeah, he's echoing. You're echoing.
Oh,
yeah. Let me see something. I don't know why that's happening.
You sound a lot better now. Anyways, Traversable, please continue. I'm gonna grab a smoke break. I'm gonna step out for about 4 minutes. Let me get one in real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. We're.
How do I sound now so I can fix it?
All you have to, I don't know what you're picking up, but all you have to do is mute the YouTube feed that you have up. Like, I have the YouTube feed up, so I can watch the chat. Unless you're talking to someone else.
I can't. No, I'm on my phone. I can't put both at the same time, so I don't know how this is happening.
Well, okay, then that means you're on the Hangout app. Do you have YouTube up on your phone, too?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't need to be on the YouTube app.
Yeah, but it's not. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Traversable, help me.
I'm just going to jump out and jump back in.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna. Sometimes the phones don't work great for these hangouts, and I'd prefer if all the guys, when they're on the hangout would